Hello and welcome to PwC's Human-Led Tech-Powered series. In this episode, we're going to explore the role of culture and capability. We'll ask how organisations can overcome the tech skills gap, where they can turn to for support, what role they should play in growing the talent pool, and why answering all of those questions requires a combination of human ingenuity and the right technology. I think it makes sense to start really at the beginning here. How big of an issue, Stephanie, is the skills gap?
The skills gap issue is huge. In my experience, and I've been head of HR for 20 years now, the last year or so has been a massive gap in what organisations need and the skills that are out there in the UK.
And what do you think is driving this gap?
I think the gap's being driven by innovation. And I think many industries are becoming more disrupted by digitisation, and this is fueling the demand for skills to be able to address that opportunity that many organisations have.
Is this something that's going to get worse over time? Are we at the peak of the problem?
I think left unchecked, it will get worse over time. And I think businesses and organisations today are two things that they're grappling with. How do they continue to invest in longer-term skills capabilities? Because the pace of change is only going to continue to get quicker. And how do they solve for their immediate problems today? And most businesses, in my experience, and certainly the businesses we're talking to, are looking to see how they can business partner and digitally business partner with companies like PwC in our managed service arena to actually solve for those immediate skills gap.
In terms of those different strategies almost, the short term and the long term, what can be done about it? What can you do?
When we first had this big vacancy problem and all these positions that we couldn't fill, I think employers just started to do more of the same, like recruit more aggressively, etc. And then suddenly the penny dropped that just doing the same thing wasn't going to solve the problem. So we needed to do something different, which was really widen the net for talent. So have a look in places that we had never looked before and realise that we needed to grow our own to get them into the organisation, and then also fast-track everyone's career in the organisation. So it wasn't just doing more of the same, more recruitment, it was looking differently.
I'm sort of sat here, I'm thinking about how technology, the move towards technology is kind of the thing that's created this skills gap. But is it also something that can help to narrow it?
I think it can, and I think if you look at the way in which people are consuming information and learning is changing, and tech plays a huge role in being able to deliver content to individuals in the way they'd like to, at the time they'd like to. If you look at online learning, I think one of the things we are seeing on our platform is that there's not just the hard skills, but the soft skills that go alongside that. So if you look at the soft skills that are increasingly needed and are being consumed, it is around persuasiveness, it's around emotional intelligence, it's around adaptability and collaboration. And that goes in alongside all of the hard skills that we've seen around blockchain and AI, machine learning and cyber.
What about all the promises of technology taking our jobs, though? How is it that suddenly technology comes in and now we need more people?
I think some of that's driven by the fact that jobs are being done differently. So jobs are changing, even if we're not changing jobs. And what we're seeing is that as digitisation takes hold of many different industries with efficiencies, actually there are more jobs available. It's just that people need to be reskilled and upskilled to be able to do them.
For me, as Chief People Officer, what I'm actually looking for are the right attitudes and general capabilities, because I know what I might want in someone now will be completely different in 24 months' time. So I need to find someone who wants to pivot, is going to tell us how we need to pivot. And those are the types of things that we should be looking for, as well as specific tech skills.
I did a microelectronics degree at university. I can tell you now, when I came out, all of the skills I learned were absolutely obsolete. The languages I learned, and this is going back a long way, I learned Pascal. By the time I came out, it was C++, and then it's gone on from there. When you look at the link between academia and industry, that gap needs to be actually closed a lot more.
As though you're having industry influence the sort of curriculum, as it were, for students. But there are other ways to collaborate with academia.
So we, within PwC as an example, we have a number of what we call flying start degrees. So they're technology-based degrees that we have co-designed and co-deliver with the universities. And they're really good both for, bringing through, to your point, exact relevant industry technology skills that are needed. and then allowing the students to actually have real life work experience in the company to keep those skills fresh actually as they go through. So they're really interested, and there's a huge uptake and very successful because it gives, the right skills at the right time, both for the individuals coming through and then the businesses. And then you can expand that out into other work that I would do with Tech She Can. So that's about bringing in a little bit more diversity in terms of encouraging females to come into the technology subjects. We do an awful lot of work with what we call assured skilled pre-employment academies. So that's maybe moving outside academia, but taking pre-employment skills and giving them maybe 10, 12 weeks, deep learning in technology and data skills. So that's back to that reskilling piece. And that's all around helping to grow those skills and helping businesses grow their own as well.
How do you create that culture then? How do you make sure that you're fostering an environment where people feel like they can be curious, where people feel like they can make mistakes, where people fit into exactly what Stephanie was saying?
I think different businesses will do that better than others. A large part of it is actually how you foster collaboration and how you bring different technology and operational skill sets together. I think it's in and around creating common purposes or common issues to solve, and then allowing them the space, providing they've got the tools and the capabilities, to actually get together and solve for. You have to be able to empower them with the skills, and if things go wrong, then that's okay. They're allowed to go wrong, and actually then let's move on and innovate on the next thing.
All employers have had to really up their game, right from how they brand themselves initially, how they make them attractive to potential candidates, and then once you've got that genius in your organisation, how you make sure your organisation is set up to give them the experiences that they want and need.
And part of those experiences must be working on juicy problems.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting projects, cutting-edge projects, and again, some of the data, if we look this year around the top jobs that are out there that people are going for, no surprise, artificial intelligence, UX, cybersecurity, these are all areas where, we're seeing huge demand.
When I think about the technologists that we have in our organisation and speaking to other clients, it's the ability to solve problems. And it's been able to use their skill sets or devise new solutions that actually help to solve either societal problems or make a difference.
When you do have a lack of skill in an organisation and you only have a certain number of people, you've got to make sure that you're playing those people in the right position. So we will have people that are amazing at coding. Let's leave these geniuses alone doing what they do. Let's take off any excess duties off them. And then we have people with the most amazing emotional intelligence. Let's play those people in the right positions. Those people make great leaders and managers and people that are inspiring the organisation to achieve.
I'm trying to hold all of this in mind, that the different things that you're saying are important, but the importance for diversity in your workforce at the same time. I don't know if you want to... that's another dimension that needs to be considered.
Absolutely, and it's another dimension that needs to be improved. So in tech, in general, we have underrepresentation from a number of different groups, and that's a problem because we're not getting all the benefits of different people's perspectives.
And ironically, I was reflecting on this yesterday. I founded a social enterprise 10 years ago, which was looking at this problem, which said that there's a skills gap here and there's a lot of diverse talent here that's not getting the opportunity. And I started it here in London, actually, during the Olympics. And the whole idea was it was in STEM, so it's, digital skills, science, technology, engineering and maths. We then broadened it to include the arts as well, so it became STEAM. And the sole premise of this organisation, which still goes today, was to be able to say, here's a lot of diverse talent with opportunity. Going to Steph's point around attitude and aptitude being what you need to get the right talent to look at where there is the opportunity to grow and thrive in society, and then be able to connect them together. There's lots of organisations out there like Tech She Can, there's UK Black Talent and others that are looking at this space. But to bring them together, and to my point earlier around academia and industry, you can only be what you can see. And if you then start to show diverse role models in these organisations doing these exciting roles, and that actually, fun enough, behind all of it, there is some tech or there's some digital skills that they can learn, and it's a great opportunity, then you really do start to see the magic happen. And that for me is one of the many ways in which you can start to close that gap.
That's such a nice reframing of of my question. I sort of said it to you as though here's a problem and another problem layered on top. But actually, the way that you've just described that is there are two problems, and therefore that means that there's a real opportunity.
There is, absolutely.
I'm just thinking about this from the employer perspective. Do you find, where is the real drive for this coming from? Is it coming from the fact that there are things that can't be done by the company? Or is there also just a real push from individuals working in an organisation who want to upskill?
There's always a push from individuals in the organisation. So one of the things that really attracts people to companies and makes them go the extra mile when they're with a company is the chance to learn and grow. So everyone, almost without exception, wants to be learning and growing. But of course, organisations are generally quite profit-driven and they have very clear goals about what it is they need to do, where they're going. So the demand really is from an organisation to get these tech skills and to get the jobs done as quickly as possible.
How can you help support businesses in making sure that they mitigate against these problems going forward?
That is a question that a lot of businesses are wrestling with today. Not all businesses are technology businesses, to your point, and so it's about how do they perhaps partner with others, either in the short term and increasingly in the longer term, to be able to create the technology solutions, create the operational solutions then that's going to help them accelerate their ambition. And increasingly what businesses really want is they want expertise that they can trust, they want a speed that they can rely on, and they need outcomes that last.
I'm just thinking about some of the points you were making earlier, and I sort of wonder whether there's a societal angle to all of this. Do you think that as a society we benefit from having a tech-savvy population?
I think we do. And I think one of the things that probably organisations do need to look at is just benchmarking where they are with their workforces. And then to Kira's point, then you can look at whether you partner with organisations to plug that gap as you upskill your own organisation to get to those levels. And I think that's, for me, is one of the most important things.
And I also think that organisations, just like people, have an obligation to help the communities and help UK PLC be more productive. So there's an absolute obligation on organisations to help skill up and inspire careers in technology. So that's something that we certainly try to do in my organisation.
And I guess you will probably see the way that we would see the fact that technologists and younger technologists come into the business actually are really pushing us as leaders and our leadership teams to continually evolve the way that we reward them, the environment that they're in, the culture that we provide. I think it's a real, they keep us on our toes as well, and rightly so.
I think that's sort of been the big theme throughout this entire discussion, actually, is that of collaboration, that it's partnering with other organisations and with academia, with schools, but also that it's really a collaboration between humans and technology in order to close this gap that all of society is going through simultaneously. Very interesting stuff. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. That was really interesting. You can watch all of the other episodes of Human-Led Tech Powers that are up online now. Thank you very much.